So imagine this. You're a world-famous celebrity, once wrapped in royal titles, now desperately chasing Hollywood relevance. You score a Netflix contract stacked with millions. Your name alone can hijack the internet for hours, and you're shiny. New show just finished its second season. Feeling invincible, right? But what happens when the very platform cutting your checks suddenly says, "We're done here"? That's exactly where Meghan Markle landed. With Love, Meghan Season 2 was meant to be her redemption arc, her big chance to prove she could lead a series, win the audience, and maybe even rewrite her crumbling narrative. Instead, the only thing she carried was a tidal wave of backlash, and the chaos behind the cameras turned it into one of the most humiliating chapters of her post-royal saga. To be fair, Netflix didn't originally plot to clown Meghan. Nope, they actually handed her the golden package. Massive budget, total control, and every perk she demanded. Big budget, total creative freedom, and even the authority to design episodes however she pleased. Meghan Markle decided to film everything in one giant bulk shoot, slicing it up later so Season 2 felt more like Season 1's leftovers. Efficient? Maybe brilliant? Absolutely not. What landed on the editing floor was an overstuffed disaster that not only lacked heart, but bombed at 7 different test screenings. Not one passed. Every single one tanked. And nothing, absolutely nothing, imploded harder than the so-called finale. This wasn't your typical season wrap-up. Oh no. Picture Christmas in July on a Malibu beach complete with tinsel trees, fairy lights, sand, and Meghan herself cosplaying Pamela Anderson in a bikini apron grilling hot dogs while lip-syncing to a rap remix of Christmas carols. Yes, that was real, or almost real, because just before launch, Netflix execs took one look and nuked the entire sequence out of existence. Deleted, erased, vanished like it never dared exist, never happened. That was the verdict, dropped just days before launch. And don't think it came cheap. Netflix had already torched roughly $5 million on that finale alone. 3 grueling days of production. 8 celebrity cameos ranging from genuine Alistairs to desperate has-beens clinging to relevance. All of it staged at Zuma Beach in Malibu, complete with drones, custom rigs, and an army of stylists hustling overtime to deliver Meghan Markle her glittery Hollywood dream ending. The payoff? Test audiences shredded it. Cringe beyond repair. One review spat. Someone literally walked out. Another called it career suicide. Filmed live. The takedown was so merciless, Netflix had no choice but to yank the cord. And Meghan? She unraveled. It wasn't just a cutscene to hurt, was the scene. Her so-called masterpiece. It's her dramatic clapback at critics. Her shining proof she still had Hollywood fire. So when producers flatly told her the beach spectacle was dead scrapped, buried, not even good enough for the deleted reels, she went nuclear. Full-scale meltdown. Sources say she begged Netflix to backtrack, insisting fans deserved her vision. But execs didn't budge. They refused to gamble on another PR implosion. Not with the disaster already brewing. Now picture it, being told your defining scene, the one you thought would resurrect your career, was too embarrassing to ever see. Daylight thought would redeem you, but instead was so humiliating it had to be axed to prevent catastrophic embarrassment. That's exactly where Meghan Markle stands now, and the internet. Oh, it's feasting because nothing screams Hollywood train wreck louder than your finale getting banned by the very people footing the bill. Inside Netflix's glossy Glass Towers execs were in panic mode. The trailer alone had already detonated into a PR inferno, and that Malibu finale is pure gasoline waiting to torch the brand. Internally, whispers dubbed the project a full-on salvage mission. Even Ted Sarandos had to be pulled in after screening failure number 7, something that only happens when the ship is practically sinking. When early cuts of Meghan prancing in the sand with giant candy canes and glitter ornaments hit the edit bay, one exec allegedly sighed, "We're about to be roasted into oblivion." So, how did it spiral this far? Insiders say the disaster began the second Meghan demanded total creative control. From that moment, the crew switched to survival mode. They weren't making a series anymore, they were constructing her fantasy playground. One crew member bluntly described the entire production as a PR stunt dressed up as television. No rewrites, no resistance, no dose of reality. Every wild idea she pitched got a rubber stamp, including her grand vision to shoot a scene where she's grilling sausages beside a tacky, fake sleigh while rapping over a Jingle Bell-laced Kendrick Lamar beat. And let's pause, because half the lyrics were literally describing the exact same beach scenes they were filming in real time. Like some bizarre parody loop? The wildest part: Season 2's original pitch wasn't awful. Was supposed to chronicle Meghan Markle's attempt to rebuild her brand after the quiet wreckage of Season 1. The vibe was meant to be raw, vulnerable, almost introspective. But somewhere between those early soulful meetings and the Malibu circus, the whole thing collapsed into self-satire. Meghan thought she was producing a heartwarming finale. Everyone else, senators, producers, even her own staff, saw nothing but a glittery train wreck. And it got worse. The footage wasn't just bad, it was flat out unreleasable. Continuity? A joke. One shot had a glowing Christmas tree, the next gone. Snow machine blasted foam into a guest's eye mid-scene. Lip syncing didn't match. Boom mics reflected in glass. Meghan demanded angelic lighting, but instead the set looked like a washed-out infomercial. From every angle, visual narrative tonality was a catastrophe. Yet Meghan was still convinced she'd birthed genius. Inside Netflix, whispers gave the Malibu fiasco a nickname. Pam's folly a jab at her awkward homage to Pamela Anderson's campy cooking show. Her big ironic red swimsuit and white apron combo didn't scream clever. It screamed cheap cosplay. Guests looked flat out bewildered on set. One swore they'd signed up for a holiday PSA, not this fever dream. Another bailed after an hour, blaming creative differences. Translation: what on earth am I doing here? When Netflix axed the scene, Meghan's camp went nuclear. Threats of lawsuits, frantic PR drafts, endless back and forth with the streamer was chaos. But Netflix didn't blink. The finale was dead. In its place, execs slapped together a limp montage of leftover B-roll just to pad the runtime. No joy, no climax, just an awkward fade to black. And with that, $5 million of Malibu lights, celebrity wrangling, and Meghan's Hollywood redemption evaporated into the Netflix vault, locked away forever. When the dust cleared, the fallout was brutal. Not only did the show's reputation tank, but Meghan's Hollywood stock plummeted. Practically overnight, the industry vibe around her flipped, and she was no longer seen as untouchable. No longer the buzzy extroyo turned promising producer. Meghan Markle was now infamous as the face behind Netflix's most expensive deleted scene in recent memory. And in Hollywood, where image is currency, that kind of stain doesn't come out. Inside Netflix HQ, teams quietly ghosted the "With Love" Meghan brand. Marketing budgets slashed, press junkets canceled. Even the tiny supporting cast got strict orders to keep media chatter minimal. PR managers dodged interview requests like the plague. Nobody wanted to explain how a finale packed with 8 celebrity cameos had been scrubbed from existence. The unspoken strategy: push the season out quietly, keep it low-key, and pray the internet forgot. Spoiler, it didn't. Trailer clips were already flooding TikTok and YouTube, stitched into memes, parodies, and endless reaction edits. One viral remix even rebranded the show Malibu Mayhem, a Christmas catastrophe. Others cut the teaser alongside. Actual footage of Pamela Anderson's campy cooking show mocking how Meghan mimicked the aesthetic minus all the charm. Within 48 hours of the trailer drop, reaction channels were eating it alive. Fashion bloggers, pop culture analysts, comedy streamers, everyone was roasting her performance, her delivery, her wardrobe, even her sad little grill. And Meghan Markle's name was trending everywhere for all the wrong reasons. Inside her mansion, the mood was ice cold. Sources whispered she felt stabbed in the back, not just by Netflix, but by her own team. Apparently, not a single soul had the backbone to admit how catastrophic the finale looked while it was being filmed. Meeting after meeting, Meghan strolled in, believing she was shaping something iconic, and nobody dared to puncture that bubble. By the time it burst, the humiliation was irreversible. And then came the final gut punch: the numbers. When With Love, Meghan's Season 2 finally limped onto the platform. It squeaked into the top 10 driven by nothing but morbid curiosity. Days later, it was bulldozed by reruns, documentaries, even wildlife specials. Viewer retention: a nightmare. Most bailed before episode 2 ended. Reviews: brutal beyond belief. Critics called it soulless, egotistical, and shockingly tone-deaf. But one headline nailed it better than the rest, so sharp it stung like truth. Wrapped in sarcasm, Netflix should have left this on the cutting room floor. That was the headline, and honestly, they almost did. Behind the scenes, whispers swirled that the studio considered killing the entire season, not just the finale. But legally, that mess would have opened a whole new battlefield. So instead, they dumped it onto the platform, hoping to claw back scraps of their investment. Meanwhile, Meghan Markle's golden contract already under review. The big multi-project deal was quietly put on ice. No spin-offs, no specials, no green lights, radio silence. Meghan, desperate, tried to spin the fiasco. Her camp whispered on private calls that Netflix was simply afraid of her creative freedom. They even floated the fantasy of dropping the original finale on YouTube or as a special event. But Netflix's legal team crushed that dream instantly. They owned the footage, and they weren't about to let the Malibu disaster leak without a courtroom war. So the saga didn't end with applause, or even boos, just silence. Series pitched as her shining comeback had mutated into a Hollywood cautionary tale, a masterclass in how not to handle fame. Meghan bet everything on herself. Netflix cashed the check and walked away.